I think that Celtic this season, there's a lot of improvement to come for that Celtic team, Peter. And I think that Rangers in the summer, Lundstrom will be away, Barisic will be away, Golson could possibly be away, the goalkeeper could be away. You know, Rangers have got a massive rebuilding job, and I don't know if they've got the money to go and put it up to Celtic again next season. And I've read in the social media already, Celtic fans saying, we're getting all this money, it's time to we can bury Rangers, you know. Celtic are not going to go and spend 20, 30 million, they're just not going to do it. Even though they've got that money in the bank, Peter. It's going to be a case of have Rangers get the money to try and get closer to Celtic. Celtic will sign 2 or 3 quality players in my opinion. I don't think they'll go nuts in transfer fees. If Rangers got the money, if they get the financial backing to go and sign 5, 6, 7 quality players to get closer to Celtic, because if they don't do that, Celtic win the league again next season.
Is it a major build for Philip?
Oh yeah,
massive rebuild for me.
Totally for me. I mean, let's get it right. You can talk about only a point difference. They've lost 7 games in 36. 7.
Command have lost 9, by the way.
There you go. That's massive, Peter. You know, and 3 of them are against Celtic. So there's obviously, if you're a manager in one of the big clubs in Glasgow, you have to win one of these games to get sort of credibility from your support and belief from your players. Now, I'm not saying he's a bad manager by any stretch of imagination. I've been impressed with him, but listen, results at the end of the day is what counts in these games, and he hasn't won one yet in 3.
Yeah, I mean, that's the key issue here. And of course, I still think we're still to see the DNA of a Philippe Clement side. I don't know what style it is, and when he recruits those players, Ruffy, what that style will be. Because more often than not, if you were looking at a Rangers title-winning side before, you would start a game and you would see them in the tunnel, and you'd look and you'd say, of a Rangers side, he's dangerous, he'll create havoc, he'll score goals, this guy's going to be tough to get past. They've got one element in their side that I think has been absolutely rock solid, which was Jack Butland. He's just been a great goalkeeper for them all season. The other part of that game that I looked at and I thought to myself, well, you know, Butland makes crucial saves, but where is the real threat coming from? And in that game, I actually thought the real threat could only be a 25-yard free kick from James Tavernier. That's not a good sign of a title-winning side.
No, I think that was noticeable at the weekend. You know, as I said earlier, that most of the chances were falling to Celtic. Rangers were just bit chances here and there. They didn't look as if there was anybody was going to grab the game with the scruff of the neck like Callum McGregor did. You know, and they just seemed to be individuals all over the park doing their own wee bit and hoping that somebody would come up with something special, like a Tavernier free kick or something like that. But apart from that, I agree with the guys. I'd be interested to see. I don't know what kind of player he thinks he needs to bring to Rangers, but it'll be interesting to see, and I think that's what the Rangers supporters will be waiting to see as well. See, from the transfer point of view, I know it might be a wee bit controversial, but if Celtic were starting to build, I'd get Jack Butland if he's available.
You'd ask Celtic to go and try and sign Jack Butland from Rangers?
If it was on.
Yeah.
If they had an idea of that happening, if he's going to leave or whatever.
Yeah.
I would think that'd be a good start.
Yeah, it's slightly controversial, Ruffy. I had down my notes everything there, and I thought the odds in Rangers selling Jack Butland to Celtic are 1,000,000 to 1. But it's of that standard of goalkeeper because they have to try and replace Joe Hart.
Well, it's interesting for Celtic. You know, you touched on Matt O'Reilly as well. I'd be surprised if he doesn't have suitors in the summer.
I'd be amazed if he stays.
Yeah. So Joe's leaving, Matt's leaving, and they were the two probably most consistent players this season. So Celtic have a bit of work to do as well on that account. Definitely need a really top number one, you know, and that's where, you know, you build your best teams from. Goalkeepers are, I know from my own time with Fraser Foster, they're just...
He's available.
Precious commodity. Yeah, he might be, you know. I don't know if he'd come back a third time or not, we'll see, it'd be interesting. I think they need another centre-half because he obviously doesn't have faith in the other two, in Rocky or Larga Bielka. You know, left back, you need competition there. So, you know, right through the team again, a replacement for Matt. Are they going to bring another striker in? They've got plenty of wingers, but the best one's still James Forrest.
Yeah.
You know, so there are a couple of talented ones bubbling under there. You know, we haven't seen any of Holm this year. We haven't seen enough of Kuhn or Yang to really sort of say, yeah, they're here for the long term. But they don't want to be relying on the same players year in and year out.
Yeah, I think on both sides, certainly in the Rangers camp and certainly in the Celtic side as well, I could rhyme off 6, 7, possibly higher figures of players that are just not up to it, and I don't think we'll be anywhere near a Rangers or a Celtic side next season. Some of them have just been taking wages when a lot of the argument from a Rangers perspective and a Celtic perspective is, listen, if there had been a better recruitment policy, you could have spent that money wiser on maybe, you know, some people I think are looking and saying, why don't you spend it on one for the future who's a Scottish talent rather than wasting huge amounts of money on someone that's just not going to cut it?
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think in both squads there are players there that are going to be surplus to requirements. But the thing with Celtic can afford to get a few wrong, Peter. They've got the money to get a few wrong. I don't think Rangers can afford to go and get 3 or 4 in that don't work out again next season. They've got to be bang on with their recruitment, Peter. They've got to be, everything's got to be a success for Rangers to go and challenge. Celtic can afford to, you know, Lenny touched on the 2 centre halves. I thought he was poor at the weekend. I thought he defended pretty well. I thought he was poor on the ball. He looked nervy. I don't think he's the long-term answer at centre half for Celtic. I think
Celtic a 5-year deal.
I think he's a squad player, Peter. I think Celtic need to go and sign a proper centre half, a good top centre half to go and play beside Carter Vickers. I don't think Scales is that. I think Scales will come in and play 15, 20 games in the Premier League. You know, after European games and stuff, he's pretty solid. But I think that Rangers need to get their recruitment bang on. If they're going to sign 4, 5, 6, 7 players, they've all got to be a success.
Yeah. A couple of things before we move on to the other games and then look ahead to the midweek fixtures. Referee, Willie Collum?
Thought he good game. Thought he got all the big calls right. I did think it was a penalty on O'Reilly. I did think Diamandi clipped him, and when you're going at that pace and you get that little clip on the back of the heel, you go down.
I still think it emphasises the need to stop this charade with a constant frame-by-frame shot.
Yeah, but the other thing is, Pete, there was no need for him to be called over to the monitor.
Yeah.
You know, for the penalty decision. I get the red card one because he's missed that, right? But the penalty, he's given it. And when you look at it, you go, yeah, I can understand why it's not clear and obvious a mistake. So we don't even need to bring him over to have a look at it.
I think that's the one thing I would like to see, Ruffy, next year, is just stop this constant re-refereeing. The fourth official has a limited part to play, and then after that, the referee calls it.
And we've been talking about all year the change. We want change, we want this, we want that. I'm sure at the end of the season, the referees will have something to say about it as well. I think they've been pillared left, right and centre. And I think they'll be going to their association and saying, look, we need to change this, we need to make this better, make it a lot easier for us and stop all this criticism they're getting.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, as far as out with that, we've all had our say on the lack of supporters from the opposition there. I think it came back to bite Rangers, Tam, as far as having no fans there.